The Lost Valley of the Titans. Deep in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, where the trees grew taller than skyscrapers and the rivers shimmered like liquid gold, a secret had been hidden for millions of years. 12-year-old Mateo had always loved exploring. His grandfather, a retired paleontologist, told him stories of ancient creatures that once ruled the earth. But Mateo never imagined he would find proof of them alive. One afternoon, while following a mysterious map his grandfather had left him, Mateo and his best friend Isabella ventured farther into the jungle than anyone dared to go. The air grew thick with humidity, and strange calls echoed through the trees, calls that didn't sound like any bird or monkey they knew. Then the ground trembled. A low, thunderous growl shook the leaves. Before them, the foliage parted, revealing a sight that made their hearts race. A towering oxalia, a spinosaurid dinosaur, its sail-like spine cutting through the mist as it waded through a hidden lagoon. "No way," Isabella whispered. But the oxalia wasn't alone. Smaller dinosaurs, Guibosaurus, fast and agile, darted between the trees, while pterosaurs soared overhead. This was a lost world, untouched by time. As Mateo and Isabella watched in awe, a sudden rustling behind them made them freeze. A glowing eye locked onto them from the shadows. A predator. Before it could strike, a deafening roar erupted. The oxalia had spotted the threat and charged, scattering the smaller creatures. The kids ran, their hearts pounding, but not before Mateo grabbed a fossilized tooth from the riverbank, proof of their unbelievable discovery. When they finally made it back to their village, breathless and covered in mud, no one believed their story. But Mateo clutched the tooth tightly, knowing the truth. Somewhere in the depths of the Amazon, dinosaurs still roamed, and one day he would return. Mateo and Isabella knew they couldn't keep their discovery a secret forever. The fossilized tooth, proof that dinosaurs still lived deep in the Amazon, burned a hole in Mateo's pocket. But who would believe them? 1 week later, a black helicopter landed in their small riverside village. Out stepped Dr. Vanessa Costa, a world-famous paleontologist and Mateo's grandfather's old colleague. She had received an encrypted message from him years ago, hinting at a living Cretaceous paradise, but no one had taken it seriously, until now. "You found it, didn't you?" Dr. Costa said, her eyes locked onto the tooth in Mateo's hand. "The Lost Valley." Isabella narrowed her eyes at Dr. Costa. "How do we know we can trust you?" Dr. Costa sighed. "Because if I found you, others will too, and not all of them will want to protect the dinosaurs." The expedition begins. With Dr. Costa's team, Mateo and Isabella return to the hidden valley, this time armed with cameras and tranquilizer darts, just in case. The jungle seemed to remember them, the trees whispering as they passed. But when they reached the lagoon, something was wrong. The oxalia was gone. Deep grooves in the mud suggested something, or someone, had dragged it away. Then they heard it. The distant hum of machinery. The hunters. Crouching in the undergrowth, they spotted a group of mercenaries in black uniforms, their leader barking orders into a radio. "Load the specimen onto the truck. The buyer wants it alive." In a steel cage, the mighty oxalia lay sedated, its massive body barely fitting. Nearby, smaller crates held Guibosaurus and even eggs, precious cargo for some wealthy collector or rogue lab. Mateo's fists clenched. "We have to stop them." Using the jungle to their advantage, they set a trap. Isabella, the fastest runner, lured a territorial Purosaurus, a giant prehistoric crocodile, toward the camp by tossing fish into the water. Chaos erupted as the beast charged, snapping at the mercenaries. In the confusion, Mateo and Dr. Costa freed the oxalia, injecting it with a stimulant to wake it up. The dinosaur's golden eyes snapped open, and with a furious roar it smashed through the cage. The mercenaries scrambled for their jeeps as the enraged Spinosaur gave chase, its thunderous footsteps shaking the ground. As the dust settled, Dr. Vanessa Costa checked a map on her tablet, her face pale. This wasn't just some random poacher operation. They knew exactly where to look. She zoomed in on a satellite image, a facility hidden in the mountains, marked with a familiar logo, Neogen Corp. A biotech company, she muttered. They've been after prehistoric DNA for years. Mateo swallowed hard. If they were trying to clone dinosaurs, what else were they planning? The jungle was silent, as if holding its breath. Mateo, Isabella and Dr. Costa watched the last of the Mercenaries' trucks disappear into the night, their headlights swallowed by the trees. The Oxalia had vanished back into the depths of the valley, but the threat was far from over. Neogen Corp knew about the dinosaurs now, and they wouldn't stop until they had them. The infiltration plan. Back in Dr. Costa's makeshift camp, the team pored over maps and stolen data from the Mercenaries' abandoned comms device. The Neogen facility was a fortress, hidden in the mountains, surrounded by electric fences and armed guards. "We can't just walk in there," Isabella said, crossing her arms. Mateo's eyes lit up. "But they can." He pointed at the screen, a live feed of the facility's loading dock, where trucks rolled in and out, carrying large covered crates. "We sneak in with their next shipment," he said. Dr. Costa frowned. "Too risky. If they're transporting dinosaurs, those crates might not be empty." Isabella smirked. "Then we make sure they are." The next morning, disguised in stolen Neogen uniforms, they ambushed a supply truck near the jungle's edge. With the drivers tied up and left with enough water to be found later, they took their place, rolling toward the facility with hearts pounding. The gates loomed ahead. A guard waved them down. "ID?" he grunted. Dr. Costa handed over a badge they'd taken from the mercenary leader. The guard squinted, then nodded. "Proceed." Inside, the facility was a nightmare of steel and science. Through the tinted windows of the truck, they saw labs with glowing tanks, scientists in hazmat suits, and a massive reinforced cage. Something moved inside. Something new. They slipped out of the truck and hid behind storage containers, watching as a team of scientists approached the cage. A voice crackled over the intercom. "Final stability test for Subject Alpha. Proceed with neural stimulation." A deep, guttural roar shook the walls. The cage doors groaned as something enormous pressed against them. Then the lights flickered and the creature stepped into view. It was a hybrid. Part Carnotaurus, part raptor, with jagged, artificially enhanced claws and eyes that glowed an unnatural green. Its muscles twitched under scarred skin, and wires pulsed along its spine. "They're making their own dinosaurs," Mateo whispered, horrified. Isabella gripped his arm. "And that thing looks pissed." Before they could react, alarms blared. "Unauthorized personnel detected in Sector 4. Guards rushed in, rifles raised. Dr. Costa cursed. "We need to leave, now." But then the hybrid looked at them. Its nostrils flared. It smelled them. With a shriek that shattered glass, it lunged, not at them, but at its captors. Chaos erupted as the beast tore through the lab, freeing other caged dinosaurs in its rampage. A fire broke out. Smoke filled the halls. "This is our chance!" Isabella yelled, pulling Mateo toward an emergency exit. As they sprinted for the jungle, the last thing Mateo saw was the hybrid standing atop a wrecked lab, howling into the night, a monster Neogen had created, but could not control. Back in the village, they watched as black helicopters circled the distant facility. Explosions lit up the horizon. Dr. Costa exhaled. "This isn't over. Neogen will come back, and next time, they'll be prepared." Mateo clenched his fists. "Then we make sure the dinosaurs are ready too." Somewhere in the jungle, a roar echoed, not of fear but of challenge. The Lost Valley was awake now, and it would fight back. The end. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.